Hello class. Today we are going to start chapter 6 of our geography textbook, water. In this chapter you will study about water on the earth, water cycle, distribution of water, ocean water and its movements, importance of ocean. Water on the earth. Water is our basic need. We need water to live and to use in various ways. Plants and animals also need water to live. Water is available on the earth in many forms. Earth is called the water planet or blue planet due to the presence of water on its surface. The water bodies cover nearly 71% of the earth's surface. The ocean are the largest reservoirs of water. The color of the ocean is blue. Of these four oceans, namely Pacific, Atlantic, Indian and Arctic cover 90% of the area. Let us study about these water bodies, their nature, source, movement and their importance in our life. Water cycle. The earth receives major part of pure water through rainfall. In addition to it, it also receives water through numerous springs and rivers. The water never remains static. It has a cycle which neither has a beginning nor an end. Let us study in detail how this process of water cycle works. The sun is the main source of energy. When water is heated by the sun rays, it evaporates. The water of the ocean and the surface water is converted into the water vapor due to the heat of the sun by the process of evaporation. The evaporated water rises up in the atmosphere and condenses into tiny crystals of ice or droplets of water to form cloud. When the condensed ice or water droplets grow in Earth's surface as precipitation, this system continues due to this never-ending circulation. The process is described as water cycle. Do you know? The quantity of usable water on the earth is very little. We must conserve it. 22nd March celebrate as the World Water Day. Distribution of water. A major part of the water runs off over the earth's surface forming numerous streams. A small part of rainwater percolates inside the earth and forms groundwater. The groundwater is a very important source of water for plants. The plants derive groundwater through their root system and return it to the atmosphere in the form of moist air through their leaves. Water is also present in the form of ice crystals at high altitudes. Thus, we see that there is a continuous supply of water on our earth, but the distribution of water is not uniform. Some parts or areas have heavy rainfall, so they increase water supply and make it surplus there. On the other hand, areas receiving low rainfall or snowfall have scarcity of water. We can regulate this source by storing the surplus water in large reservoirs or by conserving it in several other ways. To sustain life on earth, judicious use of water is necessary, so we should save this precious natural resource. This is a water resource. Ocean water and its movement. When we stand near a sea coast, we observe a rolling wave of the sea water. Similarly, when we throw a pebble in a river or a pond, we observe ripples in the water. What causes these movements and from where do these ripples originate? Let us study about these movements. These movements in the ocean water are basically of three kinds: wave, ocean currents, and tides. Waves. Waves are the rhythmic movement of water particles producing a pattern, which we can see as waves. This means the waves are the movements in the water body where water particles move up and down. It is important to note that water actually does not travel with the wave. This is like a ball thrown in the water. The ball keeps on moving up and down along the wave. The height of waves depends on the speed of wind and the duration of wind blowing from a particular direction. Together, it determines the size of a wave. This is a picture of sea wave. Ocean current. An ocean current is the continuous movement of a mass of water in a particular direction. Ocean currents are broadly of two types: cold current and second, warm current. These are formed due to the heating and cooling of ocean water. We know that cold water is denser than warm water. The warm water currents originate near equator and flow towards the poles, while the cold water currents carry water from polar region to the tropical regions. The ocean currents are due to the combined effect of the following factors. First, Difference in the temperature of ocean water. Second, in the salinity of ocean water. Third, the direction of winds. Fourth, the rotation of the earth. Fifth, the shape of the coastline. Types of ocean currents in the Indian Ocean. Warm current, north equatorial current, southwest monsoon drift, northeast monsoon drift, south equatorial current, August current. Cold current, west wind drift, west Australian current. Pacific Ocean, warm current, north equatorial current, Kuroshio current, north Pacific current, south equatorial current, east equatorial current. Cold current, Oyashio current, California current, west wind drift, Peru current. Atlantic Ocean, warm current, north equatorial current, Gulf Stream, North Atlantic drift, south equatorial current, Brazil current. Cold current, Labrador current, Canary current, west wind drift, Bangula current. In the given map, we can observe the distribution of some major ocean currents in the world. These currents tend to move towards the right in the northern hemisphere and towards left in the southern hemisphere. Generally, warm currents flow along the east coast of the countries while the cold currents flow along the west coast. Ocean currents have great importance and influence on the climate and economic activities of the coastal regions of the continents. If a warm current passes along the coast, it raises temperature and makes the place warmer than the surrounding areas. Similarly, cold currents make the adjoining coastal region colder. In coastal areas, warm ocean currents cause rainfall and therefore influence its climate, making it warm and moist. This is the image of planktons, a rich source of food and fish. The cold currents, on the other hand, tend to make the climate cool and dry. Thus, these ocean currents modify the climate in the coastal regions. Another interesting characteristic is that the confluence of warm and cold currents provides ideal conditions for plentiful growth of planktons, which is a food for the marine life. These areas are major fishing grounds, encouraging trade and commerce. The ocean currents also help in navigation. Some of the richest fishing areas of the world are near the Newfoundland coast, when the Gulf Stream and the Labrador Current meet, and near Japan where Kuroshio meets the Oyashio. Warm currents help to melt icebergs, which are potential danger to ships. Tides. Tides are the periodic rise and fall in the level of ocean water. It occurs at regular intervals twice a day. When the level of sea water rises, it is high tide, and when the level falls, it is low tide. Tides are caused due to the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. Sometimes high tide enables big ship to enter a harbor or sail out of the harbor. Kolkata port in India is the example of tidal port. Nowadays, tidal energy is harnessed to generate electricity in the coastal areas. Tidal energy is one of the important renewable sources of energy. The time interval between a high tide and a low tide is 6 hours 13 minutes. Do you know? Haji Ali Dargah, located in the Arabian Sea in Mumbai, is the live example of high and low tide. One can visit the Dargah only when it is low tide. This image is trying to explain it to you, the occurrence of tides. The moon exerts a large gravitational pull than the sun, even though it is smaller in size, because the distance from the earth is less with compared to sun. The height of the tide is not the same every day of the month. It depends on the moon and the sun. The earth, the moon and the sun are in the same straight line. The moon and the sun exert their combined gravitational pull in the same direction, resulting in extra high tides. These are known as spring tides. In the first and third quarters of the moon, the sun and the moon are at right angles with respect to the earth. They nullify each other's gravitational pull, resulting in very low tide known as neap tides. Do you know, tidal power stations have been set up in Canada, Japan and France. This is the image of tidal power station. Importance of ocean. Oceans are very useful for trade. Goods can be moved in a very large quantity by ships, and the transportation is cheaper than any other mode of transport. The marine environment provides animal and plant life for food and trade in abundance. Important mineral resources are also found in ocean floors. This is the image of high tide and this is the image of low tide. Mineral oil, manganese nodules, gold, platinum, nickel, copper, cobalt, etc. are some of the minerals found in different parts of the ocean. Several countries are trapping mineral oil as a source of energy in a big way. However, the exploitation of the deep ocean floor as a source of minerals is still at an early age. In future, it is hoped that the ocean will serve as a major source of valuable resources. This is the image of oil rig near Mumbai. Now let's have a look at this case study. Tsunami. The term tsunami is a Japanese word that means huge sea waves in series in large lakes or oceans. These waves are caused by the earthquakes or underwater volcanic eruption or any other severe disturbance that causes the replacement of huge volume of water. On 26 December 2004, a series of gigantic waves, the kind of which were never seen before, hit the coastal regions in many parts of the world, washing away a large number of people, animals, and homes. The loss caused by it was irreparable, and the whole world watched the disaster in horror. The epicenter of the earthquake was off the west coast of Sumatra in Indonesia. Its magnitude was 9 on the Richter scale. It has been one of the deadliest disasters in modern times. It affected Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and India. In India, the coastal areas of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands were the worst affected parts. Indira Point in the Nicobar Island, the southernmost part of India, was completely submerged in water along with a few other islands. The earthquake was attributed to the movement of the lithospheric plate when the Indian plate went under the Burmese plate. A massive fault measuring about 10 to 20 meter wide occurred on the ocean floor. A huge mass of ocean water rushed to fill the gap created by the displacement of the ocean floor. Seawater along the shorelines of the Indian Ocean in South and Southeast Asia started to recede. When the Indian plate was thrust below the Burmese plate, the water mass rushed back towards the shorelines in a series of huge waves. Some of these waves were up to 30 meter high. The speed of the tsunami waves was measured about 800 km per hour. These waves had shocking effects down to the depth of about 3 km from the sea level. More than 250,000 persons whom inhabited the coastal regions of affected parts died. Millions of people were rendered homeless. Government agencies, NGOs, and resident welfare associations, business organizations, shopkeepers, schools, and colleges provided relief to the victim by donating money, clothes, medicines, tents, etc. Media played an important role in mobilizing people around the world to help and donate generously for the victims. Summing up, rise and fall of ocean water from its surface alternately are called waves. The top part of a wave is called its crest, while the bottom part is called trough. The horizontal distance between two consecutive crests or consecutive troughs is called the wavelength. Tsunami, massive waves caused by the earthquake or volcanic eruption on the ocean floors. Thank you, class. Let's meet in the next chapter.